Hi, Josh here, and you're watching 610 Bob's Builds. Today, we will be powder coating / rebuilding a brake caliper. Pretty much the same thing. If you're just rebuilding it, then you can just skip over the powder coating steps. The first step to rebuild / powder coat your brake caliper is, of course, to disassemble it. However, this step blows.
No, literally. Take the compressed air and blow out the pistons. Do this by using a compressed air blowgun. Place the blowgun where the banjo bolt goes in. Don't forget to place a piece of wood in front of the piston so that you don't break stuff when it comes flying out. Mainly your fingers and face. Now blow out the piston. If your brake caliper is a single piston, this is easy. If you have two pistons, then it's a complete pain in the neck. I found the best way to do this is to blow one piston completely out. Then place the piston back in slightly, just far enough to make a seal. Then use something like a piece of wood to hold that piston in place. Then blow out the second piston. Since the first piston isn't in very far, you should be able to easily weasel it back out.
The next steps are if you're powder coating a caliper. If you're just rebuilding, then skip to this time code.
Before you do anything, you should pre-bake the caliper to get rid of all the brake fluid. The boiling point of DOT3 brake fluid, according to Wikipedia, is 401 degrees Fahrenheit. So crank that oven to at least 450 degrees Fahrenheit and leave it in for an hour or so. Depends on how much fluid there is in the caliper.
According to Wikipedia, the boiling point of brake fluid drops significantly when it's wet. So it's probably worth washing out your brake calipers, then baking them. Now it's time to sandblast the brake caliper. Yeah, no video of this. Just imagine a brake caliper inside a sandblasting cabinet. Please tell me I don't have to tell you to plug up the piston holes, banjo bolt hole, and bleeder holes.
Now I apply afterblast to the calipers because I have a rusting issue with cast parts in the oven. I apply afterblast, let it sit for a bit, dab it off, rinse it, and dry it with compressed air. I then plug all the holes for powder coating. I strongly suggest using silicone plugs rather than tape. Tape is a pain in the neck. Silicone plugs aren't that expensive and save a bunch of time. I got these off of eBay. Don't forget to plug the holes for the pins. Now we powder. I do a pre-bake, but I only get it up to about 100 degrees or so, just to assist powder and to remove any traces of moisture. I'm not using epoxy primer for this, but instead I am using Columbia Coatings outgassing primer. This will help with any oils that are trapped in the cast. It is also a high build primer, so it will smooth out the textured casting as well. Then I apply my base coat, and because I'm getting fancy, I apply a top coat with my own special blend. It's a clear with a dash of color. Oh yeah, I did the same thing with the caliper brackets.
Welcome back to everybody who likes rusted brake calipers. Now that our brake caliper is powder coated or just disassembled, it's time to reassemble it.
First, we need to hone the piston bores. This will clean up the bores so that they are smooth, but not too smooth. It also removes oxidation that we got from powder coating. Now, install the new seal and boot. If you have two pistons like I do, install one boot, then install one piston in the other piston bore. Remember to cover the seal and piston with clean brake fluid.
Now for the fun part, getting the piston through the boot and into the cylinder. If you know any really smart octopuses, give them a call now.
Grab your piston and insert it on top of the boot. Grab your air and blow into the banjo bolt hole. This will cause the boot to inflate. It will also cause the piston to want to fly away from the cylinder. So you will have to push the piston into the boot. I wiggled it around until I got it into the boot. Once in, stop the air and push the piston the rest of the way into the cylinder. You may need to use a little persuasion.
If you have two pistons, you will need to hold the first piston in place to do this. You need to get pressure within the brake caliper to inflate the boot to get the piston through the boot and into the cylinder. Then you need to remove the first piston and repeat the process with that piston without blowing out the piston that you just installed. So yeah, you should see now why I suggested befriending a really smart octopus.
Hi, I'm an octopus, I have 8 legs, and I'm a donut!
Anyway, that's it. Now you have a rebuilt caliper. While it might not seem worth it, you do save a little money. And if you're going to powder coat your calipers anyway, why not? If you found that useful, let me know by hitting the like button or commenting down below. Heck, do both, I don't mind.